Deep beneath the Swiss Alps, something extraordinary is happening. While tourists admire the mountain scenery above, construction crews are carving out massive underground complexes. But these are not scientific facilities or military installations. These are luxury bunkers for the ultra-wealthy, and they represent one of the most disturbing trends of our time. Imagine descending into the earth, past layers of solid rock, until you reach a hidden entrance protected by blast doors that could withstand a nuclear explosion. Inside, you would not find cold concrete walls and military cots. Instead, you would walk through marble hallways, past swimming pools with artificial sunlight, private cinemas with the latest releases, and wine cellars stocked with vintages worth more than most people earn in a lifetime. This is not science fiction. This is reality for those who can afford it. The question that should terrify all of us is simple. What do they know that we do not? Companies specializing in luxury bunker construction report that business has never been better. One facility, built into a former military bunker, offers residences that cost upwards of $3 million. The clients are hedge fund managers, tech entrepreneurs, and people whose names you would recognize if they were revealed. But anonymity is part of the package. No one wants the world to know they are preparing to abandon it. In the Czech Republic, a decommissioned Cold War nuclear bunker has been transformed into something that defies belief. What was once designed to protect government officials from Soviet missiles is now a 5-star underground hotel and survival complex. The marketing materials call it a luxury experience. The reality is far more sinister. This is not a place for weekend getaways. This is a place for people who have decided that the surface world has an expiration date. The amenities read like a resort brochure. Spa facilities, gourmet kitchens, conference rooms for continuing business even as the world above burns. But look closer at the specifications and you see the truth. Air filtration systems capable of removing radioactive particles. Water purification that can turn contaminated groundwater into drinking water. Blast doors rated to survive direct strikes. This is not a hotel. This is a lifeboat for the privileged few. Meanwhile, in Kansas, an abandoned missile silo has been converted into luxury condominiums. These are not ordinary condos. They sit 15 stories underground, built into the reinforced concrete structure that once housed a nuclear missile aimed at the Soviet Union. Each unit costs between $1.5 and $4.5 million. The waiting list stretches for years. The developer behind this project recognized that billionaires and millionaires were increasingly concerned about catastrophic events, whether economic collapse, pandemic, nuclear war, or climate disaster. So he offered them something no amount of money could previously buy: guaranteed survival in absolute luxury. Each level contains residences with all the comforts of high-end urban living. But it is the communal facilities that reveal the true purpose of this place. A medical center with surgical capabilities. A hydroponic farm growing fresh vegetables under artificial light. A shooting range. Even a school, because families who move here are planning to stay for years, possibly decades. The air filtration system can handle nuclear, biological, and chemical threats. The power comes from multiple redundant sources. Water comes from an underground aquifer. This facility was designed to sustain 75 people for 5 years without any external support. 5 years of waiting for the world above to become safe again. 5 years of wondering if it ever will. But perhaps nowhere is this trend more pronounced than in New Zealand. Over the past decade, tech billionaires have been quietly buying up vast estates in this remote island nation. Peter Thiel, the PayPal founder, obtained New Zealand citizenship through a special process despite spending very little time in the country. He is far from alone. Why New Zealand? The answer comes down to geography and analysis. Risk assessment firms hired by the ultra-wealthy have identified New Zealand as one of the safest locations in the event of global catastrophe. It is far from major conflict zones. It is politically stable. It has abundant fresh water, fertile land, and a temperate climate. It sits isolated in the South Pacific, which means refugees from collapsing societies cannot simply walk across a border. And perhaps most importantly, it is in the Southern Hemisphere, which matters greatly if you are worried about nuclear fallout patterns. These are not just vacation homes. Beneath these pastoral estates, construction crews are building state-of-the-art survival bunkers. The specifications read like military installations. Reinforced concrete walls several feet thick, airlocks, decontamination showers, and of course, armed security. The level of preparation is staggering. These bunkers include hydroponic farms capable of producing fresh vegetables indefinitely. Solar panels and wind turbines provide renewable power, backed up by diesel generators. Water comes from wells drilled deep into aquifers. Medical facilities stock antibiotics, surgical supplies, and even dental equipment. Libraries contain thousands of books, because maintaining sanity during years underground is as important as maintaining physical health. Some bunkers include escape tunnels stretching for miles, emerging at hidden locations far from the main compound. The assumption is that even a heavily fortified bunker might be compromised by desperate masses. Armed guards, often former military personnel, provide security. Their job is not just to protect against external threats but to maintain order within the bunker itself. The companies building these facilities are experiencing unprecedented demand. One builder in New Zealand reported that sales increased 500% over the past decade. The clients come from every continent and every industry. Tech CEOs worried about social backlash. Hedge fund managers concerned about economic collapse. Pharmaceutical executives aware of pandemic risks. Even celebrities who fear the chaos that might follow societal breakdown. What do these people know that the rest of us do not? In some cases, probably nothing. Wealth often breeds anxiety, and having the resources to prepare for worst-case scenarios makes such preparation psychologically irresistible. But in other cases, these individuals have access to information that never reaches the general public. They attend conferences where climate scientists present unfiltered data. They receive briefings from intelligence agencies about global instability. And based on what they learn, they make decisions. The sophistication of these bunkers reflects decades of evolution in survival thinking. Modern luxury bunkers are designed for indefinite habitation. They are not temporary shelters but permanent underground societies. Entertainment systems include movie libraries, video games, and virtual reality equipment. Artificial windows display high-definition nature scenes. Light systems simulate natural day-night cycles to maintain circadian rhythms. These are environments designed to make years underground not just survivable but comfortable. The irony of this situation is almost too brutal to contemplate. The people building these bunkers are often the same people whose decisions created the conditions they're hiding from. Tech billionaires who built platforms that destabilized democracy. Hedge fund managers whose speculation contributed to economic inequality. Corporate executives whose companies accelerated climate change. They profited enormously from systems that extracted wealth from the many and concentrated it in the hands of the few. And now, facing the consequences of those systems, their solution is not to fix the problems but to buy their way out. But here is the truth that these elites do not want to acknowledge. No bunker can save you from everything. Luxury underground living is still imprisonment. The first few months might feel like an adventure. But years underground, breathing recycled air, eating hydroponically grown vegetables under artificial light, Never feeling rain on your skin or natural sunlight on your face. This would break most people psychologically. Fresh air becomes a memory. The smell of flowers, the sensation of wind, the simple pleasure of walking through a forest, all of this disappears. Children born in bunkers would grow up in a world of concrete and artificial light, never knowing what their parents took for granted. The psychological impact would be profound and probably permanent. And eventually, you must come out. No bunker can sustain life forever. Equipment breaks down. Supplies run out. At some point, the people inside must emerge and face whatever world exists above. If that world is still hostile, then all the years underground were merely a delay, not a solution. And if the world has recovered, then those who hid will return to find themselves strangers in whatever new society has formed. There is also the uncomfortable question of who gets to survive. Each bunker has limited capacity. So decisions must be made about who gets access. Family, obviously. Key staff members with essential skills. But what about the security guard's family? The chef's children? Where is the line drawn, and who draws it? Imagine the scenario these bunker owners fear. Society has collapsed. Millions are dying. The bunker entrance is besieged by desperate people begging for shelter. Some are neighbors. Some are former employees. The security guards must decide whether to open fire on unarmed civilians or allow the bunker to be overrun. This is the reality that luxury brochures do not discuss. There is also the problem of internal dynamics. Wealth and status mean nothing underground when survival depends on cooperation. The billionaire who owned the bunker has no more inherent value than the engineer who maintains the air filtration system. In fact, the people with practical skills become far more valuable than those whose wealth came from financial manipulation. This inversion of status could create profound conflicts. The psychological toll cannot be overstated. Humans evolved to live on the surface, with access to nature, sunlight, and open spaces. Confining people to underground facilities creates stress that accumulates over time. Studies of submarine crews and Antarctic research stations show that isolation and confinement lead to depression, anxiety, and interpersonal conflict. Families living underground indefinitely would face far greater challenges. Yet despite all these problems, bunker construction continues to accelerate. The wealthy look at trends in climate change, political instability, and wealth inequality, and they conclude that catastrophe is not just possible but probable. And so they invest millions in their underground insurance policies. The cost of these preparations is staggering. A basic bunker might cost a few $100,000. A luxury facility can run into the tens of millions. And that is just construction. Ongoing maintenance and staffing add hundreds of thousands per year. Only the truly wealthy can afford this level of preparation. For the vast majority of humanity, bunkers are not an option. This creates a disturbing vision of the future. If the disasters these billionaires fear actually occur, humanity will be divided into two groups. Those with access to bunkers, who retreat underground to wait out the crisis in relative comfort. And everyone else, left on the surface to face whatever comes. The survival of our species would depend not on merit or virtue, but on wealth. But perhaps the most damning aspect of this entire phenomenon is what it reveals about our society. We have created a world where the wealthiest among us believe that escape is more rational than prevention. Rather than using their resources to address climate change, inequality, and instability, they are building escape pods. This is not a solution. This is surrender. And it tells us everything we need to know about the world we have built and the people who built it.